Australia is an island nation in the Indian and South Pacific Oceans. In 1901, the former British colony gained independence. Today, the Commonwealth of Australia includes the Australian mainland, Tasmania, and over 8,000 additional islands in the continent's oceans. It may seem desolate, barren, and desert-like with a small population on the mainland. Although it has a world-class economy, Australia is among the world's fourth wealthiest per capita in the Global Wealth Report 2022. Australia enjoyed a great run, having its first recession in nearly 30 years after COVID-19. Thus, it's termed the fortunate country. Australia teaches 3 important lessons: be wise, get organized, be lucky. Other countries should aim to be as lucky as Australia. Luck doesn't make a country rich. Therefore, how does Australia get rich? This luck comes from Australia's abundant natural resources: iron, coal, gas, and gold. Australia is across the world, sitting on precious minerals. It is the world's greatest iron ore exporter. Australia exported 895 million tons of iron ore. In 2023, 56% of worldwide iron ore seaborne trade. Exported iron ore was worth AUD 110 billion, making it one of Australia's biggest export contributors. Australia has had a massive mining boom, especially in the early 2000s and 2010s. This boom is caused by rising worldwide demand for minerals and energy, especially from fast-growing economies like China and other Asian nations. Rapid Chinese industrialization and urbanization fueled an endless raw material need. Iron ore from Australia saw a huge surge in exports to China. For instance, in 2000, Australian iron ore exports totaled 88 million tons. This figure increased by 2014, reaching over 700 million tons annually due to China's steel growth. This mining boom drastically raised Australian living standards. In 2013, the boom was projected to increase real per capita household disposable income by 13%. Wages rose 6% and unemployment fell 1.25 percentage points. Not all sectors of the economy have benefited. A mining boom has also caused substantial Australian dollar appreciation that has hurt trade-exposed industries like manufacturing and agriculture. The consequences in manufacturing are varied. Say you're an engineering firm that makes mining equipment, you're doing well. As an import competitor, like textiles, apparel, and shoes, rising exchange rates will cost you dearly. Overall, Australia benefited from the mining boom. It was fortunate timing for this boom, since the global financial crisis impacted Australia as well. Economic decline and rising unemployment plagued them. Australia was so strong that it overcame it. The consequence? Australia was one of the few countries to avoid the financial catastrophe. Looking back at the 19th century gold rushes, one of these mining booms brought many people to the country. Most stayed after the mining boom. This changed the economy's size and nature. Population growth is so gradual and constant in most wealthy nations that it barely concerns in the short term, not in Australia. The Australian population has risen over 45% since 1991. No other large developed nation approaches that rate. Australia doesn't grow as fast as Africa and the Middle East, which have high fertility. The rate is far below replacement, level needed for population stability. Most of Australia's population growth comes from immigration. Australia's economic miracle also relies on immigration. Australia's economy is established and successful, but not a worldwide economic powerhouse like the US, China, or the EU. Then why is Australia's economy not a giant? And what issues could affect its growth and stability? Australia's topography says it can't be an economic superpower. However, few discuss it in such terms. Purchasing power parity, its economy ranks 22nd globally, behind Turkey, Italy, and Mexico. Australia is remote, having a sparse population along its shores. Australia relies on maritime logistics due to its wide waters. Around 98% of Australia's trade volume is seaborne. Distance and solitude drive up transportation expenses. Shipping Australian goods to major markets like the US, Europe, or adjacent Asian countries can be more expensive and time-consuming than in countries near these markets. Australia is not highly interwoven like Europe or North America. Regional trade is hindered by economic region. Nearest trading partners, such as China and Japan, are thousands of kilometers away. It is affecting business ease and expense. Despite being separated from major economic blocs, Australia earns huge riches from exporting coal, oil, gas, and iron. These exports boost the economy. Australia has failed to establish the need to maintain its position at the top of developed nations. Rich and dumb, Australia is getting dumber. Australia's economy isn't diverse or sophisticated like most prosperous nations. Australia exports mostly low-complexity goods like mining and farming. Although the world's 13th largest economy, according to the Observatory of Economic Complexity, Australia dropped from 57th to 82nd in economic complexity from 1995 to 2021, declining rapidly. In comparison, China, Australia's main trading partner, rose from 51st to 25th. Economic complexity helps nations create unique, sophisticated products. Various export destinations for high-value goods. It also prevents major economic changes that could significantly impact a nation's dependence on a few industries. Technology is changing swiftly, yet complex economies are either at the forefront of leading these technological advances or knowing how to adapt. Australians have always loved discussing housing, from home values to investment properties and upgrades. Many policies have been implemented to ensure housing is speculative. Housing is more than a place to live. It is a way to get rich for the lucky. Australians' property has traditionally fascinated people, with the family home symbolizing riches and safety. The relatively high home ownership rates compared to other countries, with a percentage much above 50% since World War II. Australian residences are more expensive than in decades. Australians aren't alone. Rich countries have high house values relative to wages. They exceeded expectations last year by rebounding from the briefest of blips. Even rental markets are hot. What explains prices' surprise resilience? Domestic and foreign demand for Australian housing is the primary factor. It is bigger than ever. Population growth in Australia has exceeded 30% in the past 2 decades to 26 million. A major factor is the substantially higher net immigration during the mid-2000s, which has increased housing demand. Another factor is material costs. The construction PPI has grown by 30% since 2021. This growth has raised property prices and reduced housing supply. High wages, along with record low interest rates, can cause unexpected housing. Housing price surges now represent AUD 9 trillion, compared to 4 times GDP. This sector demands stability and good policy. If you found this information helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Your support helps us bring you more valuable content.